Hey Gators, and welcome to class. This is CCJ3701, Research Methods in Criminology. I am Dr. Jensen, and I will quickly show you my face. Hello. And I'll be your instructor for this semester. So I have 3 videos for you to watch. This one is kind of an overview of the entire class with some tips and tricks that will give you help as to how to get organized and how the class actually works and how to prepare. The next video will show you kind of an orientation to Canvas and where to find everything. And again, more tips and tricks on how to be successful. And then finally, the last video is just a really short, like couple-minute video about me, just so you can get to know me a little bit better, because I want to get to know you better. But you'll be doing that in a discussion board really soon. So I'll get to see what you're about and hopefully help you in your goals this semester. So let's get started. So this is our agenda. I'll tell you again just a little bit about me. We do have no textbook, and I'll go over what other things are required for class. So we are using software for this class, but it's free from University of Florida thanks to your student fees, and I'll show you how to access that. We'll talk about the class goals and what you will learn, my expectations of you, what you should expect from me, and how to be successful. So again, this is an asynchronous class, so you'll get to choose the best time of day to do your studies and your homework and labs and all that kind of stuff. So we don't meet together on a certain day and time. You meet when it works for you. But let's jump into more of what we'll talk about. So this is me. I did my PhD from the University of Oklahoma, so boomer sooner. I did it over 10 years ago now. Wow. I have 2 master's degrees. One is MSW, Master of Social Work from the University of Louisville. The other one is a Master of Liberal Arts degree from Southern Methodist University. And I focused on social sciences in that degree. And then my bachelor's degree was actually in sociology. So I previously taught at Brigham Young University, or BYU, for over 7 years, and I became an associate professor while I was there. So after I got tenure, life dealt me lots of changes, and I decided to move all the way over to Florida. And I've been here at Florida ever since 2017, so I'm going into my 5th year. This is my highest rated course that I teach, Social Statistics and Research Methods, and this is why I was brought to the University of Florida. This is why I was hired. It's a very important class to me. I'm very passionate about research and data analysis because I think it's a critical skill to have in the workplace. So this is a class that is challenging for students. It's challenging to teach it online, but I've taught it successfully online and in person for about, a little over 10 years now. I've taught it ever since I started teaching, and I really enjoy it. So my job is to make this work for you and to help get you graduated. So let's continue. But first, I want to reinforce I am like you. So I recently completed a 100% online master's degree from the University of Louisville. So I've been on the other side of the keyboard, and I did that while working full time and with 2 children under the age of 6. So I'm not saying that because I'm super mom. I'm saying I know what it's like to be busy, to have family commitments, to have a job, and trying to squeeze in time to get your online degree done. So I know what that was about. That degree took me about 3.5 years to finish, and I loved doing it, but yeah, it was challenging. I can say it really prepared me to be an online instructor and to try to include maximum flexibility in my classes. So I learned a thing or two being on the other side of that keyboard. I do have a lot of different experiences. I'm not going to go through this list in detail, but I've worked in a lot of places in the criminal justice system. So if you're interested in talking about some of these areas and maybe you're interested in working there, I'd love to have a conversation with you about it and see how I can be supportive in your career. So again, just to reiterate, this class has no textbook. We do all hands-on learning. So the materials for learning are mostly from articles and best practices on how we do research, and we actually will manipulate data. We're going to work with variables in a software program. We're going to do lab work and ultimately write up reports. So the research methods and statistics lessons are really taught in an applied manner for your job. So treat this class like a workshop where you're watching videos and you're being walked through the steps and the menus in the software program, and they'll help you with all the different pieces of the lab. and then you can submit that lab when you're finished. So it's very much designed in that manner to kind of walk you through step by step. So watching a video is equivalent to attending class or attending to lecture. So if you skip videos, it's kind of like you're ditching class. And I will tell you, that's the number one problem that students run into is they get behind, or, something happens in life and they don't finish a module, they don't finish videos, and they skip ahead and they try to figure it out on their own. And it is a disaster. They get lost, they don't know how to do certain skills, and it's just messy and confusing. So my class is very sequential. You need to do everything in order. And we'll go over that in the next video as well. I don't have discussion boards, but we do have regular group communication. You will have a lab partner that I assign to you. You're not required to use your lab partner, but I do provide this person to you so you have someone to compare answers with, because this class is kind of like a math class. If you're all working on a lab and using the same data and using the same software and trying to answer the same questions, you should be getting the same answers. So sometimes it helps to have someone to compare with or to troubleshoot with as you're working through your lab. So we do have that. And then certainly you can reach out to me as well. And I'll talk to you about my office hours and how to have regular communication with me. So the class goals are really to help get you comfortable using SPSS. That's the software program we're going to use. And I'll show you that in a few moments of how to access that for free. We practice the basics of social research, especially as they pertain to studying crime. So you'll see that all of our labs are based on crime data scenarios, and your research topic for your final paper should also be a crime-based topic. That's required. We're going to bring all your skills together into a paper or research report. So basically the first 9 weeks of class, we're doing labs and assignments that are building your skills, kind of like a workshop. And then the last, 7 weeks or so of class, or I guess 5 weeks of class, we're actually doing active paper writing, right? So we're taking those skills and we're applying them with data and variables and actually starting to work on the items for your paper. And you're going to be turning in little sections of the paper ahead of time so that you can get feedback. My expectations of you are that you do need to use SPSS software. That is required. Again, you don't have to buy it. It is free. But it is required. Do not use other, software. There are other statistical packages out there like Stata or SAS and stuff. But it's going to be hard to kind of translate the menus and the navigation from one program to another. So please stay in SPSS software. Be very hands-on and active. Dedicate time for this class. Communicate often and early for help. It is a 4-credit class. And that includes your preparation on skills, your practice labs, and a final paper. So I tell students with the labs and the assignments and all the preparation, you'll probably spend on average between 12 to 16 hours a week. So carve that out of your schedule. Again, this is a bigger class than most of the other classes you've had, and it's a very different class to take. And it's required for your major. You don't want to have to retake it because then you got to get special permission to re-enroll and all kinds of stuff. And you can only reattempt the class so many times, so you want to give it your attention. This course also meets the UF Gordon rule. That's named after the Florida legislature that said, hey, I don't want students just graduating from taking a bunch of classes. They need to be skillful in research and writing to actually be graduates of the University of Florida. So you'll notice on your degree audit, it says writing requirement. There are certain classes that are earmarked to have fulfilled this requirement. So by the end of your degree, you would have written 24,000 words of research and writing, which is pretty substantial. So no, we're not writing 24,000 words in this class, but over the course of your undergraduate career, you would have written 24,000. This class contributes to that word load that you have. And so I actually submit final grades and indicate in the registrar's office that you met the words of research and writing threshold for the Gordon rule. So this will help fulfill that final part of the writing requirement on your degree audit. What you should expect from me, email responses within 24 to 48 hours. I try to get back to people as soon as I can, but again, keep in mind, sometimes I have 150 emails a day and it gets kind of busy. And of course, with holidays and weekends, sometimes we're out or we have family emergencies and we travel and stuff like that happens. But I try to stay on top of my inbox as best I can. If you haven't heard from me and it's been 2 days, please reach out again. I try to at least say, hey, I got your email. I'm working on it. If for some reason I couldn't respond immediately. But yeah, just be patient with me. And sometimes with that many emails, things get lost in the shuffle. I don't mean to do that, but it's just part of being human sometimes. So be patient, but reach out again if you haven't heard back from me. I am available for phone calls and Zoom sessions, and you can text me too. And we can do kind of FaceTime together. We can do troubleshooting. We can actively be in your labs together, working on software together, looking at sections of your paper. So it's very, very helpful to have that. My virtual office hours are 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. So those are on Zoom. I don't just keep a Zoom session just open for those hours every day because I kind of feel like a fish in a fishbowl, sort of. And also, I don't want people getting into my Zoom link and doing Zoom bombing and weird stuff like that. So I just kind of set those hours aside daily for you. But if you want to meet with me, just contact me in advance and I'll send you the link and we'll jump in that session together. But those hours are for you. So I set those hours from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. on purpose because that's also when people tend to be taking their lunch hour and they've already had a chance to start their day. So I tried to think about it in a convenient way. So if you want to have a lunch hour with me and that's good for your work schedule, that's fine. Now, that's not to say we couldn't also meet at night and on the weekends. We can, you just have to give me some notice. So some people are like, hey, I do my homework after work, between 6 and 8 p.m. Or I do my homework on Saturday mornings. When do you get up, Jensen? So again, if you just arrange with me in advance, I can meet with you after hours. It's not a big deal. I do it all the time. And I make this class a priority because it is required to graduate and you do need extra help. I provide reassurance when you make mistakes. It's how we learn, and that's why you're here. So don't be afraid to contact me or think you look really stupid or dumb. Often it's the students that reach out and contact me regularly that tend to do the best in class because they can limit their errors that they make and they can kind of make best use of their time and they can kind of plan better and not waste time doing things that aren't really useful, right? Because they were able to fix it. This is SPSS as it looks in apps.ufl.edu. So the way you get there is you go to login.apps.ufl.edu, and this is basically a big virtual server that hosts a lot of different software programs that the university licenses for student use. So you just use your GatorLink credentials to sign into this software, to this virtual server, and then you navigate to the software package and launch the package. And I have whole videos that show you how to do this, but I just wanted to show you a screenshot so that you could see it. But this is for free. This is your required software, and this is the way you're going to go access it. There is one other thing you can do. You could buy your own license if you want to. You do not have to, but occasionally students want to do that. So I'm going to show you how this works. It's at a store called onthehub.com. And give me just a moment and I'll show you how to navigate to that. Okay, this is the website, onthehub.com. And all it is just a website that has lots of different products that are for students. So it has kind of student-priced software licenses, okay? But again, most of the software you would ever need for UF is available freely because we buy, hundreds of thousands of site licenses, right? But some people want their own copy. Again, not required, but all you need to do is go to Students. And you can see SPSS is a very popular product that people like to buy. Just click on that. And then basically, there are different versions of SPSS. So if you do want to buy it for yourself, you can. You need the latest version. So you can get 25, 26, or 27, it doesn't matter. But you want the grad pack, okay? So do not buy the base. You do not need the premium, and you certainly don't need the faculty, okay? So if you go to the grad pack, we'll click on that. It'll take you here. And then essentially, you can buy it for either Mac OS or Windows OS. So it'll tell you which one to do. Now, you don't need the $2,000, right? So these are our limited use licenses. You can get a 12-month rental or you can get a 6-month rental. 6 months is perfectly fine for the length of our semester. So yeah, you would not need to buy the 12-month if you don't want to. Okay, so again, make sure you have the grad pack. That is this program here, SPSS Statistics Standard Grad Pack. Do not buy the base grad pack. Okay, so this is just the basic statistics. It doesn't give us enough function. Okay, So the standard grad pack includes all the base plus regression. Okay, so we're definitely going to be running regressions this semester. So then you would go to add to cart, and then eventually you need to do registration, username, password kind of stuff. And then it will prompt you through the steps of how to purchase or buy the product. I tell people, use your UFL email address to authenticate that you are a student so that you can get that student pricing. So use your UFL email, and then you can download the software onto your computer. And again, it'll give you a license key and instructions. And I've actually talked to the technicians on this website. They're very, very good. So if you run into any problems with installation, they can help you. But yeah, On the Hub is, basically a way to get student licensure for a discount for limited use during your career. Okay? All right, so that is On the Hub. We'll wrap up with our last area, how to be successful. These are the tips and tricks I promised you. So treat this class kind of like a capstone and training course for your criminology career. These are skills that you can use on the job to manage data, to do even basic or advanced statistics for your employer when you're trying to get answers to questions about the people you serve, your clients, your customers, or even just demographic data. So to me, it's a really important class. It's a skill-based class. It's one of the most important in the major. Make sure you keep a data log. So students will tell you, especially the ones that got A's, that say, go grab a spiral-bound notebook. I know it's kind of old school, right? We kind of take a lot of notes on our computers nowadays. But they said a lot of times when you're running software on your machine and you're looking at PowerPoint slides and you're in a Word document or a lab and you have like 4 or 5 different windows at once, even with multi-monitors, it gets a lot to handle. Because the other thing too is often you have to kind of keep my recording or my video nearby so you know what you're doing and how it works. And so sometimes you have to jot things down, like details on a variable. And it's just really helpful to have a spiral-bound notebook that you can quickly write something down. At the very minimum, have some Post-it notes. So just notes of when you're running analyses or details you need to keep track of if you're doing a recode on a variable. So, and that way you can see where you left off, because you might not do a lab all in one sitting. You might do maybe half of it one day and then finish it the next day. You need to have some notes to go back to. Otherwise, you'll get lost and you'll have to start the lab over, and that would be sad. Dedicate time each week to the class. Install and obtain your software early. At least go practice how to access it if you're not going to buy it. So that way you know where to go and you're not lost during your first day of labs. Use good file storage habits and naming conventions. Save everything to the M drive. Okay, that is permanent student file storage on that server where we have SPSS. So that way, if you create things or build things or change things in data one day to the next, you can save it to that location, the M drive, and then you can go back to it and pick up where you left off. Otherwise, if you don't save to the M drive, which I remind you of in class, then that drive is a temporary drive you're working on and it gets wiped every night. So you'll lose everything you did every single night because of how these servers work at University of Florida. So if you're going to kind of continue your work on your paper or your variables or labs from one day to the next, save your work to the M drive. Okay. Also, be honest about what works and what doesn't and what's confusing. Like I said, you can text me, you can email me, you can call me and help me understand if something's not working for you, and we'll figure it out. So I'm going to put myself back on the screen really quickly. One other thing I'm going to mention is this is another tip that students suggested in past semesters. They basically said it's good to have your phone nearby when you're doing your labs. So they said one thing that they did is they would put me in the video on the phone, and then they'd kind of put that near their laptop, and then I'd kind of narrate to them the steps they need to do in the lab. So they would kind of prop up their phone near the computer, put their earbuds in, and they could glance at their phone, glance at the video for reference, or they could put me on an iPad or some other, tablet or something like that. But that's one other way to do multiple monitors, right? So if you're trying to listen to Dr. Jensen tell you the steps of a lab, but you're trying to stay open in the lab on your laptop, it gets a little bit of a juggle. So your phone nearby and putting me on a video on your phone is a really good way to kind of keep me handy so that you cannot miss a step and also stay focused on putting in your answers on your lab and navigating software. So that's just one other little tip. But otherwise, I'm glad to have you in class, and I look forward to this semester, and we'll see you in the first few videos for SPSS and your tour, the lectures, and lab number 1. Bye-bye.